What else is going on in the news?
So I mean, you were going to it there. Toronto passed kind of an intense new zoning law. It's something that got thrown around here, and it's inclusionary zoning. And basically, what that is, I guess people know what zoning is. Zoning is what they put on a parcel of land to dictate what can and cannot be built, or what can and cannot be done on that land. And so those also dictate, like, within a building, if you're doing 80 units, you must have 20% as 3 bedrooms, 20% as 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, one has to be accessible.
All these different things, the spacing, all those things. So now, within that, they've now modified it to also include, the unit breakdowns need to include affordable housing units.
Yeah.
I don't think the exact specifications of what defines the affordable housing was 100% laid out. But what they're saying now is, to start, they want to say any new condo developments within a certain area must have 5 to 10% of their units as affordable units. And the affordable units must target people between $30K a year to $90K a year.
Yeah, and it's going to be 30% of your income.
So they will have a rent value then.
Yeah.
So that's how it's going to work. Now, what's weird about it, I guess, with a condo is technically they're also saying not just affordable rentals, they're saying affordable homes.
Oh.
So I don't know if that means now that you're going to have to sell your condos.
Oh my God, those people are just going to flip those condos.
Well,
there's going to have to be some sort of thing, and then you can't sell it for this many years. And
yeah, how many self-employed people are going to mark themselves down at $89K a year, get on the
I'd
list?
be like, don't give me that raise if I can get a house for 50% less.
Exactly, and then like you said, just flip it off immediately. So there's going to have to be something going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they intend to also increase this to 8 to 22% of units by 2030 will have to be affordable in a new construction build to try and get to their targets of how many affordable units they need to have in the city. I don't know. I mean, there's some merit to making it a requirement, but on the flip side, it's like it's going to boil out that all the extra costs are going to go on the other units. So then you're going to have other people in the building paying 20% more for already insanely expensive housing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to create enough units in a short period of time that's actually going to fill the gap. And then again, where a majority of their construction there is affordable home, or is homes, they're going to be resulting in affordable condos, which I don't know how they're going to monitor, like who's kind of fibbing on their applications to receive it. And it's going to be like, it's going to be like a lottery, basically. Oh, I won the condo. I literally just made $400K today. Like it's literally going to be a lottery system.
You'll have to enter in a lottery system. And that's similar to the rent controlled situations in other parts of the world where you might wait 7 years to get a rent control in like a really certain location.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that'll pan out. I mean, this is a tax.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is a tax.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is if you live in a building and you pay like full value or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And knowing that your full value is about to get marked up a little bit, right? Because
10%, yeah.
You know, the person who owns the building runs all their numbers. And if one number is high, or if one number is low, the other number has to be high to offset it.
Yep.
Not everyone is going to get the same price per square footage, so you have to charge more price per square footage to compensate for stuff that's getting less.
Yep.
That's very simple. So unequivocally, some people are going to be paying more so that other people pay less.
Yeah.
You know, that is, at the least, it can be referred to as maybe a little bit of tax.
Yeah.
If not other things that, you know, we could get into. But, and maybe people are okay with that. I just don't understand why we've been paying all these taxes to address some of these things in the past and haven't been. I also think we're doing a heck of a lot of work in the space of these what would be kind of I guess middle class housing, and that's great. I still haven't seen as much work in the app, like the real deep affordable, you know, like I've talked about before, $900 and under. You know, that sort of space. And I think that's where what actually needs the most attention. But
I think, we've talked about that a bunch of times. I think that's, again, very much a government mandated thing that they're going to have to be involved in and actually probably do it themselves because you just physically cannot. Doesn't matter if they pass all the rules and laws and just no one would build because you just physically cannot. There'd be no. You'd be building basically as like a charity thing. You'd be like, all right, I'm going to give up all this money to do it, which is not wrong if you have the money to do it. But I just don't see how people are going to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be complicated for sure. And that's something that, you know, these things trickle down from big markets into smaller markets as those smaller markets become big. All of these rules have been made for Toronto and Vancouver for all these years that didn't necessarily impact us directly Well, now as we've grown, they've started to impact us more and more.
Yeah. They also have a rent control in place, and they've had one in place for 10 plus years now.
Then why isn't it working? Why do we need these extra solutions if rent control's there? That should just fix all the problems,
This
right?
is, yeah, exactly. And this again shows the whole concept of how rent control does not work.
Yeah.
But and they've it might be over 10 years now, and they've kept it at a fairly low, like 1.5 to 2.5% on average. Like it's quite low. Yeah, and this is again showing that didn't work for the last 10, 15 years. And it actually, again, yeah, like we've talked about, it kind of killed apartment construction, boomed condo construction. Now they're kind of hitting the condo construction with this. Again, I'm sure it's again a small band-aid solution that's not really going to help anything besides push up prices on the average.
Yeah.
And then give a small fraction of units available. That'll become, like you said, a 10-year wait list. And
I would love to talk
be a lottery.
to someone in planning and someone that maybe knows a lot of the history of planning, because part of me in my head is like, well, why don't we just build more cities? I know that sounds like a dumb idea, but like part of the reasons the areas around Toronto and those areas were all absorbed is because as Toronto grew and got more expensive, people went to the periphery, and then there just became kind of this mutual growth in these areas. And I've said for a long time about our province here is that our biggest issue is that we have the core Halifax, which at one point was little municipalities, but like let's just call it Halifax proper.
Yep.
And then nothing else in the province was doing well.
Yep.
And for the viability of our province, we needed something in the South Shore to be doing well, something in the Valley to be doing well, Truro to be doing well, and something in Cape Breton. So you kind of have these little hubs all around.
Yep.
And in the past, they used to do these things where they would just go up the road and build a new town.
Yeah.
And be like, well, things are expensive there or things are overgrown there.
Here's
We're
new
just going to
affordable
open
space.
a new town over there. And I met these clients who lived in a town of something like 1,500 people. And it was sort of, they called it like the town that never was. It's called Townsend, Ontario. I was going to look it up because
Townsend, yeah.
it was designed by planners to be this new industrial town that was going to be set up around these factories and things like that. And it just didn't happen. So the town never really grew. But we're so concentrated now on this idea of like, all right, big cities, big cities, big cities. And then we're somehow surprised when they're really hard to live there. But as we talked about, we did a cross-country survey of property values, and there's this misconception that everything's just going through the roof.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the major cities are going through the roof, and the rest of the country is just not.
No, it's like it is standard. And a lot of people are
Yeah.
moving from those areas into the cities,
Yeah.
which is causing that force up.
I think from a planning perspective, I know there are disadvantages of spreading people out and advantages of stacking people on top of each other. But from affordability standpoint, if we had more viable regions, maybe that would make a lot of sense. But
When I was broke, I had rich habits. When I was broke, I had rich habits.